I wanted to get into some more of the prophecy stuff. I found this Tom Horn guy. I covered it last stream. Yeah, is Jesus hated worldwide? No. Go on any social media and type in Jesus. Go on your smart TV and type in Jesus. Go to the bookstore and see how many books there are about Jesus. So Tom Horn in 2021 predicted that the tribulation would start on October 13th, 2 days ago, the day Trump signed all the peace deals. Because based on this asteroid that's going to come by in 2029, and I watched a little bit of this documentary he has on it, Zeitgeist 2025, The Secret Destiny of America. It's 2 hours long, but we'll just watch the beginning and then some other things we have ready.
Super intelligent.
He died. I wish he was around to see that Trump did this biblical peace deal on the day he predicted.
And welcome to this special presentation.
CEO of Skywatch, because they're waiting for Jesus and the angels to come down from the sky. They're watching the sky. And author of Donald Trump and the Rabbis and the Secret Plan to Rebuild the Third Temple.
On the secret destiny of America. I want to begin by pointing out, for those that read my last book, The Messenger, you may immediately have a hint as to what's behind the unusual title of my upcoming book, part of which this presentation is based. The book is titled Zeitgeist 2025. Now, if you don't understand the connection, then I highly recommend you read The Messenger, as it's filled with the most incredible discoveries involving how, exactly 3.5 years before the original date set by NASA for the asteroid Apophis, which I argue is biblical wormwood at the middle of what most evangelicals and some Catholics call the 7-year Great Tribulation period, to come crashing down on this planet. April 13, 2029. The high holy days of the Feast of Tabernacles will be unfolding on earth. Just a few days before that will be the Feast of Trumpets. And 120 days earlier, which is the biblical numerology for the end of mankind, is Pentecost. Now, all three of these festivals are strongly tied by eschatologists to the second coming of Jesus Christ. But before I get to how America's secret destiny is tied to the year 2025 and the prophecy of wormwood or...
And by the way, remember, in his book, The Wormwood Prophecy, he dated it. He wrote this, he did this article in 2020, it looks like. I thought the book came out in 2021. Apophis will pass by April 13th, 2029. So he did 3.5 years before that. He says that the beginning of the tribulation would be October 13th, 2025, the day Trump signed all those peace agreements, the peace in the Middle East, the covenant of the many, and then 3.5 years, and then the war, all hell breaks loose, and Gog and Magog happens, and the tribulation. Okay.
Apophis. You may have seen recently where NASA is calling an all clear on the impact possibility of Apophis for the year 2029.
All clear. Safe from asteroid for 100 years.
But what they're not telling you is that a number of celebrated scientists disagree. For example, one mathematician is warning that NASA's trajectory calculation of Apophis is off by as much as 600,000 miles, which Harry Lear implies could send Apophis crashing into Earth 8 years from now on April 13, 2029. Lear even sent an open letter to the President of the United States and U.S. government scientists, begging them to cross-check these calculations from NASA immediately, even though he ends his dispatch with an ominous admonition that we're probably already out of time. More impressive than Lear, top 100 scientist Nathan Myhrvold in a recent peer-reviewed paper titled An Empirical Examination of WISE, NEO-WISE Asteroid Analysis and Results, refutes much of the data from NASA, and he actually charges them with deliberately misreporting threats by near-Earth objects and even of behaving, quote, extremely deceptively with deliberate scientific misconduct in space threats. And then there is
slow to edit. Everybody's
and astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, who admits that on April 13, 2029, quote, Apophis will come so close to Earth that it'll dip below our orbiting communication satellites. It will be the largest, closest thing we have ever observed to come by Earth. We're
going to see it with the naked eye, guys.
Orbit we now have for it is uncertain. Pay attention to that. Because, he says, these things are hard to measure and hard to get an exact distance for, and, quote, we cannot tell you exactly where that trajectory will be, end quote.
All right, look at this now. Remember the Netflix movie from 3? So this movie, Netflix Don't Look Up, is literally the same exact plot as what this Apophis thing, where these astronomers see a comet or an asteroid coming, and they do the trajectory. It's going to hit Earth, and they're trying to warn everybody, and nobody cares.
This is not real. This is not real. This is not real.
Oh, it's based on real events, based on the true story.
Kate,
that happened.
this isn't really happening.
I hear there's something you don't like the looks of.
We discovered a very large comet.
Oh, good for you.
It's headed directly towards Earth.
This comet is what we call a planet killer.
At this exact moment, I say we sit tight and assess.
Sit tight and assess?
Sit tight.
And then assess. The sit tight part comes first, and you gotta digest it. That's the assessment period.
This is the worst news in the history of humanity. He just blew us off.
What are we gonna do? We have to release the information.
So we just leak it.
Our guests today have made a pretty big discovery in space.
How big is this thing going? Can it destroy my ex-wife's house? Is that possible?
There's a 100% chance that we're all going to die.
Hey.
Hey.
Well, the handsome astronomer can come back anytime, but the yelling lady, not so
Not so much.
We're gonna get the news out there one way or another.
It's real and it's coming. FBI!
Jesus Christ, you could have just called me.
This comet contains $30 trillion worth of material.
What do trillions of dollars matter if we're all gonna die?
Oh no, what if we're rich? That would be terrible!
I didn't see this movie.
A comet? I have a tattoo of a shooting star on my back.
Oh, that's terrific. This could be a complete disaster.
This is already a disaster.
You know that girl from Life TV said we're all gonna die?
No.
You'll never take me alive!
Is that what it's going to look like?
There it is! Giant comet! Hurling its way towards Earth! Can you see it?
I can't. My head is in a bag.
I did have the FBI put that bag over your head. They don't do that. The CIA does, but I made them do it.
You know, I had a feeling.
It's a good feeling, because that is what I did, and it was very...
All right, enough of that. Now, also, I was looking for it yesterday, and I found it. It's because it's in the Omen 2006, not the original Omen. But about the Antichrist being born, the movie opens with a priest looking through a telescope at a star. Or an asteroid.
At the beginning of the movie, a priest observes comets streaking across the sky, which unsettles him. A convention called the Book of Revelation read allowed the angels' trumpets of Armageddon paired with real-life disasters, signifying the completion of each stage. The Challenger explosion, the devastation of Hurricane Katrina, the 2004 tsunami, and the fall of the Twin Towers are each cited. The comet's arrival is the latest sign the world is on the eve of Armageddon. Next, we see American diplomat Robert Thorne being informed.
There you go. So
now that list goes on, and it connects to other important information that I examine in the groundbreaking new book, Zeitgeist 2025, concerning why I believe that mankind has indeed most likely entered the last decade of history as it has been known, what prophecy teachers call the church age, and how the several unusual things that you're going to learn in that book set that work apart from all other books on prophecy. Now, among the amazing things that you're going to discover within those pages is how the Essenes of Dead Sea Scrolls fame were one of the ancient prophecy communities that predicted over 2,000 years ago that mankind would indeed enter its final age or jubilee cycle 4 years from now in 2025, 3.5 years before Apophis smashes into our world. Assuming for the moment that I'm right, and that the asteroid Apophis is biblical wormwood, and therefore 2029 represents a period around the middle of the Great Tribulation period when the trumpet judgments began. Monday, October 13, 2025, that is April 13, 2029 minus 3.5 years.
Dude.
That would be the approximate start date for...
Dude. The approximate start date for the tribulation just happens to be the guy that wrote the book about Donald Trump and the rabbis in the Third Temple predicted 4 years before, the beginning of the tribulation to be 2 days ago when Trump signed this peace deal. Are you joking me? Which they could have just based on this asteroid coming by.
Dispensationalists call the 7 years of tribulation foreseen in the Bible in such places as Matthew 24, Revelation 7, Daniel 12, and so on. But
what a coinky dink, huh?
2025 is intriguing. It's co-organized by the Atlantic Council and government organizations from Europe, the United States, Beijing, Tokyo, Dubai, other partnering nations that led the United States National Intelligence Council and the European Institute of Security Studies to produce a report that I encourage you to read titled Global Governance 2025 at a Critical Juncture. And in that document, the highest level intelligence agencies in the world determined that a global government could emerge around 2025 from what they called an unprecedented threat that would materialize, requiring all nations to lay down their differences and to come together in mutual defense of one another against an unprecedented menace.
What, the asteroid?
Among some of the things that they foresaw.
Hey, is this why Donald Trump set up Space Force? Space Force will protect the world from the asteroid. All the nations unite to stop the asteroid.
Included knowledge of an incoming asteroid, a new pandemic, which I happen to believe Apophis is also bringing with it via an extremophile microorganism that has a virus inside of it. They also foresaw biotech-created new forms of humanity, representing an existential threat.
Dude, are all the prophecy Christian channels covering that he got this right like this? The end times doomsdayers got to be losing their minds over this.
Other prescient secular research that focused on the year 2025 from times past includes an 1897 work by Professors William Strauss and Neil Howe titled The Fourth Turning.
Thank you for visiting the 700 Club on YouTube.
Check in the 700 Club.
Over the past 5 centuries, and they discovered cycles of life and generational archetypes that expose an astoundingly revealing pattern of incidents which ultimately lead to chaos and what they called a fourth turning, which they, by the way, envisioned culminating in a totalitarian world government that they saw arriving, yes, around the year 2025. Now, the risk of such sacrifice...
The survival of the nation will feel at stake? You mean like Trump's Save the World and America's Golden Age? The great gate of history.
Civil liberty.
The turning point of history with Charlie Kirk.
Under government authoritarianism. This was, of course, also foreseen by the brilliant English novelist George Orwell, who had endured the heartache, delusion, fears, and cultural shocks of the pre- and post-World War II Britain, in which he portrayed the ultimate goals of such...
Okay, Paul Begley. You guys have heard of Paul Begley before? He talked about it yesterday. Let's see what he says. He's a big end-time Zionist YouTuber.
Are you serious? Are you serious? I'm trying to rest. I'm trying to rest my jaw, but I have to break in again. Israel Hall was just on the phone with me. Are you serious? This is crazy. This is the Feast of Tabernacles. This is the final day of the Feast of Tabernacles. Tomorrow is Celebration Day. And this was a historic day, October 13, 2025. This goes down in history. When you get 20 nations to gather in Egypt to sign a peace agreement to bring peace to the Middle East. Now, I know there'll never be real peace till the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ, Yeshua, till he comes, there'll never be peace. But according to prophecy, there will be a covenant with many that will be signed. And then later, at some point, the Antichrist confirms it. Now, I've always believed that means possibly the Antichrist is there present at the signing. Doesn't mean he has to be executed. President Trump is not the Antichrist. I mean, he's out of the 20 nations that are there, leaders, he's the last guy there that is an Antichrist. He is pro-Christian, pro-Israel, pro-peace. He wants to work with everybody. He is not an Antichrist. But
doesn't everybody love the Antichrist? He works with everybody. Everybody loves him. He signs the peace covenant.
Christ could have been there among that crowd. I'm not saying that today's signing was the covenant with many. I don't know. But I'm not saying it's not either. Now, I've been talking for a long time, for almost 21 years now, ever since Apophis was discovered by NASA in 2004. And we now know that Apophis, the god of chaos, the Egyptian god of chaos, Apophis, or Apophis, is coming, headed right toward Earth. It is going to scrape past us unless it hits us. And even if it misses us, it's bringing a lot of debris with it. And we are going to go through that debris trail, and we may get hit with maybe one, maybe two companion rocks. If you read Revelation chapter 8, it tells you that the earth gets hit with two deep impacts. One hits the oceans, wipes out a third of the ships on the ocean, and one hits the land, bringing with it radiation that poisons the water, and a lot of people die. It could be that Apophis is that wormwood prophecy. Now, I have a connection with Dr. Thomas Horn, who went on to be with the Lord. And that is in a book he wrote about the Vatican. He predicted that Pope Benedict would not die, but would resign. And that would be the first.
Okay, enough of Begley.
Totalitarianism and total government surveillance.
I think I'm done here, too.
Once more being.
Now we're just getting into the average.
To get America back on.
What is the plan for America? It's Edom and it's going to be destroyed?
Locked and threw into a king or a ruler. America might view the architecture used in this magic, the dome representing the habitually.
Okay, had enough of him. Now streaming PragerU's short documentary, The Book of Revelation and the Great Revival. Oh, of course, Dennis Prager. Ultra-Zionist Dennis PragerU promoting prophecy and end times.
But this time, it's different.
The Dragon Prophecy.
And the fourth one is green or pale green. The amazing thing is the flag of Palestine is white, red, black, and green.
13 million views, 10,000 likes for your Christian Zionist end times fantasies. 10,000 likes for PragerU pushing this.
Her neighbors. The end times, who spoke about the Gaza peace plan. And for those of us who follow Bible prophecy, there were a number of statements by Trump that fit in.
This is Antichrist 45, Brother Paul's channel.
What's supposed to happen in the end times. Trump started out by saying that it is much more than just about the Gaza situation. It involves everything in the Middle East.
And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us, with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East.
Trump then went on to say that he and Netanyahu discussed many things, including the expansion of the Abraham Accords.
So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords.
Trump's remarks about the expansion of the Abraham Accords are very important because the expansion of the Abraham Accords, in my view, is the confirmation of the covenant with many. Trump then made a stunning remark about how all of this involves eternal peace in the Middle East.
And most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East, and let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East.
Trump then talks about how the nations around Israel have also supported him in this peace plan, which is exactly in line with Daniel 9:27, which teaches us that the Antichrist will forge a covenant with many between Israel and her neighbors.
So this is far more than anybody expected, but the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible, every single one of them.
Trump then doubled down on his earlier remarks about eternal peace by stating that the tyranny of terror must end, and this is forever.
The tyranny of terror has to end, and this is, again, something that we're looking for. This is eternity. This is for forever.
And just in case casting himself as the one who will bring eternal peace to the Middle East is not shocking enough, Trump then talks about a board of peace, which will be headed up by none other than Donald Trump.
To ensure the success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace, we call it, the Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be
beautiful name.
Not at my request, believe me. I'm very busy. But we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world and Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it will be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want, is some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it.
So putting this all together, what Trump and Netanyahu have proposed as far as the Gaza situation is not in itself the confirmation of the covenant with many. However, it is a very important part of a larger plan that is coming together. And that larger plan involves expanding the Abraham Accords to include many more nations around Israel. It will be part of a wider, comprehensive plan to bring peace to the Middle East. And all of this being overseen by a board of peace that itself is headed up by Donald Trump should tell us that we are getting very, very close to seeing the confirmation of the covenant with many. And Trump heading up this board of peace also tells me that the eventual covenant with many will have his name on it. It will be the Trump Accords or the Trump Covenant. We are now at the point where the man who matches the biblical descriptions for the Antichrist is announcing his stunning plans for peace throughout the Middle East. But don't be confused. This is not real peace. It is a temporary peace before the return of Jesus. This is the fake peace of the Antichrist.
Okay. Bop. Jack Stone did a grok about hyperstition. Hyperstition thrives when fictional or prophetic narratives gain traction through repetition, media amplification, and social buy-in, eventually bootstrapping their own reality via human behavior. Here the ingredients are simmering. Viral memes overlaying Daniel 9:27 on the summit photo. That's mine. That's my meme. X threads dissecting Horn's 2025 timeline as unfolding now, billboards mythologizing Trump as a messianic Cyrus, and MSN headlines framing phase 1 Temple Mount, Gog and Magog, false light, precursor to the real beast. Let's see what else Grok has to say here. Cyrus boosters, Antichrist alarmist, Cold War Armageddon vibes. Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough, Grok. Nice try, though.